What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to walk you through how I made $350,000 in real estate without paying any taxes on the $350,000. IRS Section 121 exclusion allows for a homeowner to sell their property, and if you're single, make a profit up to $250,000 without paying any taxes. If you're married, you can make a profit up to $500,000 without having to pay any taxes. I certainly took advantage of IRS Section 121 as a homeowner. I've sold several properties where I've lived in them for 2 years, and then I've sold the property and did not pay any taxes on my profit. The second way I've used Section 121 exclusion is I have bought homes. I've lived in those homes for 2 years. I've moved out of that home and I've put a tenant in that home. Section 121 exclusion says, as long as I meet two requirements, live in the house for 2 years and own the house for 2 years within a 5-year period of me selling the house, I don't have to pay any taxes on a gain up to $250,000 if I'm single, and on a gain up to $500,000 if I'm married. So let me walk you through that again. I live in the house for 2 years. I move out. I put a tenant in the house for 2 years. And then I sell the house. And I paid no taxes as a single person up to $250,000 gain. No taxes as a married person up to $500,000 gain. The third way you can use Section 121 is you can be renting a property, a single family home, a condo, a duplex for 2 years. You can buy that property from the landlord. You can live in that property for a year. You move out. You put a tenant in that property for a year. And then you sell it. You can qualify for Section 121 as well in that scenario. Because remember, you got to meet two requirements. Ownership for 2 years, and you have to have lived in it for 2 years. And in the third scenario, your living in it for 2 years would be when you rented it for 2 years as your primary home. Even though you rented it, you lived in it for 2 years. Your ownership would be you purchased it, you lived in it as your home that you owned for a year, and then you leased it for a year. So that's your 2-year ownership. As long as you meet those two requirements within 5 years of selling the property, you qualify for the Section 121 exclusion. No income taxes up to $250,000 gain. No income taxes up to $500,000 gain if you're married. I've used 2 of those 3 scenarios. I've lived in the house for 2 years straight out, sold the property, took my gain and moved on. I've lived in the house for 2 years, moved out, put a tenant in the house for 2 years, sold the property, took my gain, didn't pay any taxes, and I moved on. People out there who have a problem with real estate because they don't want to be bothered with tenants, this is a perfect opportunity for you to get into real estate, live in the property, sell it after 2 years, take your gain up to $250,000 as a single person, up to $500,000 as a married person, take that gain and not pay any taxes, move on to your next home, and you can do the same thing. There are no limits on the number of times you can take advantage of this Section 121 exclusion. I did it, guys. I made $350,000 doing the first 2 techniques. Living in a house for 2 years, moving out, selling it, taking my gain, not paying any taxes. And then the second one I talked about, where I bought the house, lived in it for 2 years, moved out, put a tenant in it for 2 years, sold the property, Didn't pay any taxes on my gain. As long as my gain as a single person is, you got up to $250,000. As a married person, you're up to $500,000. Some people will say, well, how do you know you're going to have any gain? What if the real estate doesn't appreciate in value? What if the market goes down? That's a risk that you would take with real estate. But here's what I would tell you. If you're concerned about that, find you a fixer-upper. Go out in the market, find you a home in a good neighborhood that needs some TLC. You can buy it below market. You can get into that property, fix it up over the next couple of years, add value, and then you'll be at whatever the market says the property's worth because you made improvements to it. And then you can sell that property at market, take your profits without paying any taxes on it, as long as, like I said, as a single person up to $250,000, as a married person up to $500,000, and move on to your next property. But that's a good way for a lot of you guys who don't really have a bunch of money to go into real estate investing, where you're buying, multifamily properties, or you're buying multiple single family homes. Start the way I started. I bought my primary residence when I was 26. I lived in that property for 2 years. I moved out of that property. I bought a second property, and I put a tenant in the first property. I sold that property 2 years later, the first property, and didn't pay any taxes on my gain. Why? Because I had met the requirements of Section 121 exclusion. I had lived in the property for 2 years, and I had owned the property for 2 years within the 5-year time period before I sold the property. So you can do it as well, guys. Like I said, I made $350,000 using that simple technique in real estate. Nothing fancy, just buying a house, living in it for 2 years, putting the house up for sale, taking my profit, moving into a second house. I then graduated to buying a primary residence, living in it for 2 years, moving out of that property and actually putting a tenant in that property for 2 years, and then selling it. And like I said, the third way people are doing this and making it work is they rent a house for 2 years, buy the house from the landlord, live in it for a year, move out of the house, put a tenant in it for a year, and then sell it. And people are making up to $250,000 as a single person, and like I said, $500,000 if you're married, by selling a piece of real estate and realizing a gain and not paying any taxes on that money. And you can take that money and put it into whatever you want to put it into. Other businesses, stock market, more real estate, whatever. I know people that do that every 2 years. They buy a property, they fix it up, they live in it for 2 years, and then they sell it for a profit. Don't pay any taxes, up to $250, up to $500 if you're married. And then they move to the next property. And they have amassed 7-figure net worth doing it that way. My recommendation is, if you're interested in Section 121, you own a home, or you're thinking about buying a home and applying what I talked about today, I would ask you to speak with a certified public accountant to make sure Section 21 exclusion is right for you. If you're stopping by the channel for the first time, please consider subscribing, share the video, and give me a thumbs up. It helps the channel, and it helps me too. Thoughts become things. If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hands. You guys keep chasing your greatness, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace. If you want 2 free stocks, click on the link in the description box of the video, and Webull is going to give you 2 free stocks when you open up a Webull brokerage account, deposit at least $100 in that brokerage account. Guys, you're going to get 2 free stocks, and they're going to be valued up to $1,850. So if you want that free money, click on that Webull link, open up your new brokerage account today. Today's video is sponsored by my company, RF Financial Consulting. And in my company, I work with individuals just like you through financial mentoring and coaching sessions. And in those 1-hour sessions,
We talk about strategies to help you get to your financial freedom, whether it be through real estate investing, stock market investing, creating additional streams of income, credit card arbitrage, or starting and growing a business. If that's something that you might be interested in, there's an email address in the description box of the video. Send me an email and let's discuss if I'm the right fit for you.